Good day. Going into the 9th of October 2020. The big topic today, well, is our newest severe tropical storm, Prapiroon, moving off here towards the northwest ever so slowly. I would expect this storm system to become a typhoon with possibly 36 hours, but outside of that, cooler weather across ports of Korea and Japan here, even portions of China, as well as a frontal area starts to push across northeastern China. That's actually going to be a talk later on in the update because it is going to be having some effects possibly on Prapiroon here, but also we have some monsoon across portions of the Philippines, but nothing to severity that we have been seeing in the past several weeks. But let's zoom in on our severe tropical storm, talk a little bit on how this system is currently developing. And at this time, well, it is remaining to itself out here over water, at least not impacting any major land masses at this time. Some outflow is still affecting around Yap and portions of Guam and even all the way over towards Luzon. You are getting some indirect rain shower effects from the storm system, but as far as this big band right in here, that should be remaining over water for the time being, but it is getting some good inflow from the equatorial regions. That's allowing the storm system to intensify, plus sea surface temperatures under it definitely are very warm, talking about upwards of about 30 to 35 degrees Celsius in some areas here. It's exceptional warm sea surface temperatures. Cloud tops are also getting brighter here on the infrared imagery. That is indicating some strengthening in the convection. Nonetheless, though, dry air inflow is still influencing it from the north. That is keeping the rapid intensification at bay for the time being, but I do think that once that dry air starts to let up here in the next 24 hours, it very well could start to form an eye around that center of circulation, and with that said, we could be seeing a developing typhoon tropical system out of this. Now, well, where could this potential typhoon be going? Let's first take a look at the model consensus over the next 72 hours. And at this time, most of the models are all pointing off here towards the west and eventually recurving towards the north and northeast. That is over about the next 3 to 5 days, going out to 72 to about 96 hours. Now, one thing I do want to note that this storm is in a very weak steering flowing environment. Let's take a look at that streamline analysis that we use quite often here. You can see here on this 500 millibar to 850 millibar streamline analysis over the overall background flow, this tropical system is embedded within a very strong cyclonic circulation. And what that means is that the steering flow around it is relatively weak. Now, at least at this time, it should want to eventually pull off there towards the north following the flow around the high pressure off here towards the east, and that would eventually recurve it towards the northeast, as with the agencies JMA and JTWC are both saying over the next 5 days. But beyond 5 days, some split up. And also JTW, or the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, one thing I do want to mention, they are not a WMO approved organization, but they do some decent tracking of these tropical systems. And one thing I do note, after 120 hours, they say that due to the recent erratic nature of the models, the forecast track is basically very low confidence. There is a low confidence in the forecast track due to the weak steering environment and poor model consensus beyond the next 96 to 120 hours. So with that said, let's take a look at these different model consensus here. First, I want to take a look at no gaps. And now no gaps is showing what JTWC is on their forecast track, moving off there towards the northwest and then eventually recurving back towards the northeast. Should be some strong gradient-induced winds pouring in from the north here across the southern Japanese islands, but really they do expect the trough to pick up this storm system over the next 5 days. JMA on the same line as that, showing this track here, but what I tried to bring you here is my observations on both of these agencies' tracks. They do storm 2 continue to intensify, though, due to a weakening vertical wind shear on and around Prapiroon, but also the sea surface temperatures, as we mentioned earlier. But nonetheless, no gaps here does show it moving off there towards the northwest and eventually slowing down, or actually continuing to be slower. But look at this, going out to the next 120 hours. It takes that rapid switch towards the northeast, eventually coming extratropical very quickly. Now, I want to explain why this is happening. They do expect a trough to start to build in from the north into the upper levels, and if we go out to about the same time where that storm system really starts to take off there, about the 120-hour mark, you see right here, this is what we're talking about, that trough, that big dip right in there. That should bend down and grab the storm. Now, some of the models are indicating at this troughing, but some of them are not. They're actually indicating a more of a zonal flow. Let's switch over to the American GFS model here, and this is kind of agreeing up with what the Euro model is indicating as well. And basically, throughout the entire forecast period, We can see here in the upper levels a very strong Prapiroon developing up there, but it remains south of that jet stream. No big dip comes down. The storm remains, or the jet stream that is, remains very zonal throughout the forecast. And on that note, let's look down to the lower levels of this particular model outlook, and you can see that the storm moves a little bit farther towards the west, actually. Starts to linger there, starts to pull back towards the northeast, but due to a lack of grabbing from that upper level trough, it kind of lingers there and eventually pulls back towards the west, still lingering just around the southern Japanese islands. Definitely going to be seeing some very rough waves, but I guess the point I'm trying to show you with the comparison of the models is that into the extended long range, they're still differing up here, so I would not completely rule out any of these land areas along Japan to get affected by the storm system, yet I really do think that it should recurve off towards the northeast and eventually run out there becoming extratropical, and that would be the best favorable scenario at this time, but still nonetheless, and continue to watch this storm through the coming days. It already has been rather hard to predict, especially when it came to the exact timing of the formation of this storm system. But at this time, remember back earlier on in the update, we were talking about a low pressure area over northeastern China. As that continues to push off towards the east, it's that trough that should pick this storm system up and pull it off towards the north. If it does not, though, definitely going to be watching this across the southern Japanese islands. Also, one of the models, a very odd one, but nonetheless, there is one model actually indicating the storm to pull back off there towards the north and then start to actually flow down towards the southwest. Just one out of the many tools at our disposal, but I just want to bring that up as well. I don't think that's very logical, but it could occur. So thanks again, though, for watching, everybody. Once again, Western Pacific Weather is not by any means an official forecasting agency. Please continue to watch if you are in the Philippines, Bagasa, across Japan, the Japan Meteorological Agency, you know, over towards Guam. You also are going to be continuing to watch this with the National Weather Service. But thanks again for watching, though. Please stay safe out there. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please post them in the comment box below. Also in the description below, if you are in Manila, in the Philippines there, November 11th, please come by and enjoy our Western Pacific Weather meet and greet. We're going to be having a lot of fun there on that. It's on a Saturday, so tons of fun for that. So stay safe, though, and have a great day. Bye.